Question 11. So the table below shows some of the values of y equals x squared plus x take away 4 for the values of x from -3 to 3. So when we see this question, we've always got a table. There's usually some gaps to fill in. Okay, so this is about drawing a graph. So we have the other side of the page, okay, which looks like this, and this is where we're going to draw our graph. But first of all, we've got to complete the table by finding the values of y for x equals -1 and x equals 1. So what we're going to do is we use the equation at the beginning. So it might be worth, if you're not sure how to do this, highlighting the equation that we need. And we're going to substitute in, first of all, x equals -1. So we're going to replace the x's with -1, and we're going to work out the value of y. It's a little bit like trial and improvement in that sense, where we do lots of substitution. So you think back to how you would do those kind of substitutions. Now, obviously, we don't have a calculator for this one, so it is a little bit more tricky, but there is space to do those workings, okay? So let's go with x equals -1 first. So x equals -1. Okay, we've got x squared. So we're going to do -1 squared plus x -1. And then we've got take away 4. So this is the calculation that we need to find the answer to. So let's make this look a little bit nicer. So let's get rid of the squared. -1 squared. Okay, I'm going to write this up here for you. So -1 squared, remember, squaring is when you times it by itself. So -1 times -1. Our negative number rules, when we're multiplying, mean that when we multiply two negatives, they give us a positive answer. So it's a positive, and 1 times 1 is 1. So I know that this first part here is represented by 1. Again, we're going to use our negative number rules. Negative, positive, negative next to each other means negative. Okay, so they form basically, and it's going to be like a takeaway. We've got our number 1, and then we're going to take away 4. So 1 take away 1 is 0. 0 take away 4, -4. So our first missing value is -4. Don't be worried that you've got the same number here. It does happen because this is going to be the bottom of our graph. So you'll see that that actually will make sense. Okay, the next one is when x equals 1. So let's do that one. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing, except this time x is going to be 1. So 1 squared plus 1, take away 4. A little bit nicer when it's not a negative, but same principles. Let's unpick each bit. 1 squared, we've already talked about -1 squared, so it's just without the negatives in. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1, take away 4. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 take away 4 is -2, -2, okay? And usually, with this style of graph, you should get some repeats like that, because I said this is going to be the bottom of our graph. These ones are a mirror image, okay? Doesn't always happen like that, but sometimes it does, okay? 2 marks for that bit. If you're not sure, definitely do the positive, because that's the nicer part. Okay, next bit, on the graph opposite, draw the graph of y equals x squared plus 4 plus x take away 4. So we're going to plot these points now. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm just going to fold the top so we've got our table at the top. So here we go. So we're going to plot these points on here. So these are our coordinates. Okay, so this is our x value and this is our y value. So we're going to go across to -3 and then up to 2. Okay, so that's where our first coordinate is going to be. Our next coordinate is going to be at -2, -2. So we go across to -2 and we're going to go down to -2. So that's there. And then we carry on. So -1, -4, 0, -4, 1, -2, 2, 2, 3, 8. So I've plotted all my points. Don't worry that there's not a mirror image one here. It'd be about there, but we don't need it. And what we're going to do is we're going to join them up with a smooth curve. Make sure your graph doesn't have a flat bottom. It needs to curve at the bottom like that, okay? And you're just going to make a committed curve. I like to turn my paper when I do this. So I'm going to be committed and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to there, and then I'm going to curve it round, and I'm coming back up that way. Okay, so that's my graph drawn. Okay, when you plot your points, if you find that you've got a random point, so let's say for example we got this one wrong here, this -4, and you got the answer of 2 for example, and it was back up here, that wouldn't be right. So our graph is not going to go down, then up, then back down and round. So if you find that out, go back and check your calculations. It's probably that you've done something wrong. Okay, right, let's have a look at the last part then. So it says, use your graph to solve the equation x² plus x take away 4 equals 0. Give your answers correct to 1 decimal place. So it's only worth 1 mark. So we must make sure we follow all of the rules. So we need to make sure it's to 1 decimal place. And the key part that you're going to use is this. That is y originally. Okay, so that was y originally. So what we're looking for is where y is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the line that goes across here like that. That's the x-axis. That's where y is 0 is there. So we would draw a line going through where y is 0. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. So we're going to draw a line here. Okay, and where it crosses the graph, those are the 2 points that I want to know. Okay, so let's do this one first. So that's 1.6. So that's one of my answers. So I'm going to put 1.6 here. My other answer is this one here. Be careful with this one. The easy mistake to make is you would say, oh, it's -3.4. You go that way, but it's not. We're following it this way. So it's -2 or -2, and I would say 0.6. So -2.6. Check that we've done it right. They're to 1 decimal place. So there are answers.